Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for another Journaling on a Budget starting from scratch. Today we're going to make a different kind of a tuck. I was playing around the other day. I'm sure someone has done this before, but I haven't seen it, so I thought we're going to do this in our book. Whether I had seen it or not, we'd be doing it in our book. But like I said, I'm sure someone has done it, but we're just going to go ahead and give it a go ourselves. So what we're going to do is, this is just I saved this envelope. I saved it because I like the inside, but we're not going to use the inside right now. What we're going to do is we're going to color the outside of our envelope, and I'm going to do it in orange and yellow and red so we can get some color on it. We can also embellish what we do later, but we don't want just plain old white. And this is it's just kind of a fun thing it's going to be a fun pocket that's just a little different. If you don't have the envelopes, you don't have to, but we're using what we have for this series and junk envelopes that once I take the mail out, I just set them aside is something that I can have for this series because I can only use either just normal garbage, basically, like things that you would not, we call it garbage, but that's not a nice word for it, really. But, things that you may normally throw away that you can use in your crafting, like cardboards and papers and that type of thing. This wound up being very orange. And of course it wound up being very orange because I put orange and red and yellow. So the red and yellow made orange. Alrighty, and so I'm just going to color this part of my envelope. And then I'm going to turn it over and do that same end on the other side. Did I do that right? Yep, that'll be all right. Alrighty, we might need a little bit more, but we'll grab that when we're done, when we find out if we do or not. Okay, so all you're going to do is you're going to take an envelope. Now, you can use a big envelope, you can use a regular size envelope, you can use junk envelopes like this, or you can use, if you have a few that you use for mailing, you can use those. But what we're going to do is we are going to measure up on the side of the envelope. We're going to go up 4 inches. Let me see here. Hold on a second. Not sure if I can do 5 inches. Well, we'll just embellish over it, because I'm just looking at the writing that we have here. Although I don't need that. Well, we'll just do it. We're going to do 5 inches. So mark up this side and then mark over on this side 5 inches. And then we're going to do 3 inches. So we'll just mark it at 3 inches on the side and 3 inches on the bottom, and then 1 inch. We do 1 or 1? No, we're going to do 1.5, not 1, 1.5. 1.5 and 1.5. Okay, so then let's just draw a line on 1.5 to 1.5, 3 to 3. Well, my paper's wet. Your paper should be dry when you're doing this. And then go from 5 to 5. There we go. Okay, so now it looks like this. We've got the 3 lines drawn there, 1.5, 3, and 5 inches. And then we're just going to take our scissors We're going to cut them. Now I'm doing this on the bottom of the envelope. If you were doing it on the top of the envelope, you would want to glue the flap down before you start, but you can also glue it down afterwards too if you forget. And all we're doing here is just making some fun tuck spots. And like I said, if it's got a little bit of markings on it, you can just, when you embellish it, you just cover over those markings. And so there we go. And now with our envelope, we also have our window that we can use for something at a, you know, as a tuck spot. As a matter of fact, let's just go ahead and maybe I should have made a line, but there we go. That's not too bad. So there we go. Now this will make a cute little tag or something with the window. And so that's what I cut off from there. This is what we wound up doing. We now have this and this and this. So what can we use them for? Well, the little one makes a perfect corner on your page. Now you can use that as a tuck spot if you want to and just kind of glue it right on the edges, or you can use that as a corner on your page, and you could cut off all 4 corners of your envelope and you would have 4 corners for your pages. And so that's what you can do with the little ones. And then the other sizes, I'll take this one off. And actually, the little bit of barcode on the bottom actually looks kind of cool. So then you've got mid-size. You just want to line that up with the edges of your pages. And you can use that as a tuck spot. And that's, you know, if you've really got something going on up in here, or if you're thinking, I want to do something that's going to really, you know, kind of take up my page. Well, then you use the 3rd size, and that's going to take up basically kind of half of your page as far as, you know, having a focal point for that page. So you're just going to, just got to put it on there straight. There we go. And so there we go. Now we have a tuck spot on that page that will tuck not something so small. And that would be the other thing to think of. This one, when we tucked it in, the bottom caught it because this was a very small tag. So if you have a small tag, you want to use the smaller sizes. And then if you have a bigger tag, then that tag will be caught by the larger size. And then you've got that really pretty start to your page. Sometimes that's always the hardest part, is getting a page started. And I just need to straighten that up. It really does work. I mean, it really does straighten up. Oh, I was caught in the paper. That's why I couldn't straighten it up. Because before you glue it down, you just want to make sure that you do have it on there straight. Alrighty, so there we go. Now that just gives us something to go off of as far as what we're going to do with that page. And maybe we will make a tag out of this and put that in there. That would actually be kind of cool. On the other page, I have this really pretty flower that I wonder if I'm gonna, it's got a lot of glue on the edges, so I'm gonna kind of cut around this. Oh, maybe I should have tore it. All right, let's try tearing it, because this is just going to be a belly band on the other page. And all I did was glue one of my flowers, because the flowers, even though that book had some, you know, the pages were kind of thick, they weren't thick enough to use all on their own right across the middle of the page as a belly band. So I just glued it on some white paper, and now we will just go ahead and rip around it. I'm not going to get in there, so I'll have to just use my scissors because I want that little piece out of there. There we go. I'll just rip around this. Now, I want to make sure that I rip it up tall enough that it reaches the top of the page. So when I get up here, I'm going to have to see where I need to go. All right, so this is the bottom of my page, right there, and the top of my page is going to be, I'm just going to line this up right where it needs to be. Just mark the top of my page and cut that off. Now I know that I need to go up that high and leave a little bit of body to it so that I've got something to glue to. So, you know, we just need to leave a little space up there. And you know, the looks of your edging, you know, that's just what you prefer. You can cut around it very neatly. You can rip around it really roughly. You can rip around it kind of like this where you're following the contour. And it's fun to kind of play around with different things to see which types of things you like the best. I'm going to kind of make the bottom about the same width as the top. So there we go. And that is our belly band for this side. So that looks very nice. I like that. And then on this side we are going to have, let me see here. Okay, so that's our belly band. I love the looks of the shorthand behind it. And so I'm just going to glue that on just like that. And we'll need to have a tag for that side too. And because we've got the coffee dyed behind it, maybe I'm just going to want to make sure I have it towards the center. I like that. Since we've got the coffee dyed behind that, or tea dyed, whichever that is, and we have got the, on this side, we've got our colored envelope with the white behind it. I'm going to leave the white on this and, you know, not do anything to the background of this paper because I like the contrast that that's giving us. Because sometimes things just blend in a little bit too much. And I've got a page that I was working on that you'll see next week probably, and that one does kind of blend in too much. I'm going to have to do something to make it stand out a little bit. But this one, because we've got the white on the tan, it's standing out very nicely. And so there we go. Now to put these in, all you need to do is just put a little bit of glue right on that fold. And you just want a little bit. It doesn't need to be a lot, because it, you know, it holds itself very nicely right from the start. And the only thing is, you will want to make sure that your pages are fairly square when you use these, so that it will fit nicely. Take this out of here, and I got it stuck in that same spot. There we go. just doesn't want to do exactly what I want. It's off just a little bit, and that's not going to really hurt a thing. But I have to try it again. And my page is probably not perfectly square. If I'd stop getting stuck on this little part on the bottom. Yeah, that's much better. Let's see. Put it back together now. There we go. Okay, so now we've got our tuck spot here and here, and we're going to need a couple of tags for these pages. So I'm going to stop right here for just a second and maybe get some tags figured out, and I'll be right back and we'll put something on here. Okay, I'm back and I figured a few things out. So I did just straighten up the edge here of the pocket, making both sides the same, so they're both a 1/2 inch. I do want to put a little more color up here, but the first thing I want to do is cut out a little tab hole there so that you can get a hold of your tag if it gets down in there. And since we don't have a punch for this series, all I did was I took the lid to my hairspray, I just held it on there and halfway and drew around it. And so now I have this little half circle right there that I'm just going to cut out. And if you have a circle punch, then you just use your circle punch and punch a 1/2 circle, and it makes your nice little, a thumb hole, I guess is what that would be called. And if you're just starting crafting, and you're thinking of what types of things, like what types of punches, a circle punch is a great first punch. A 1-inch circle punch is kind of like a nice standard size. And so there we go. Now we've got that cut out so that when we put our tag in there, we'll be able to get a hold of that tag and pull it out. So also I need to glue down this back flap to actually make it into this is going to be a pocket tag. Now I want to make sure that I get the glue out here where it's going to touch here. I don't want to glue here, or when we put a tag inside of this, we won't be able to get it out, or we won't be able to fit it in there, because if we glue it right there, our tag will have to be smaller that we put inside. Just going to put that on there like that. Okay, then I'm just gonna give it a good press over here. There we go. So now we have our little tag pocket. We will have to attach this side together, and then that's going to fit in there. We need to put some color here and on the back, and then I thought we would put a little bit of edging around it. We'll figure that out in a minute. Let's color it. And then I also decided that I wanted to put some lace across the top of the page. I want to put the lace on the top of the page, and then we will have this in here, which will have a tag inside of it. And I thought that would look really nice. I want to dye the lace so that it matches. So we need to dye this envelope, and we need to dye this lace. And the rest of this I want to leave blank, because I want to be able to, I want it to be a nice spot for journaling. And by the time we do these two things, it will be, it will look pretty, but yet still have space to write. So I'm going to set this aside. And we're going to dye these two. And this is just a piece of Walmart bag, a shopping bag, I guess you might want to say. And you can use any kind of plastic. you need 2 pieces, or, you know, like this one I folded in half. So that you can kind of squish. And these are watercolor markers. These are just kids' play school washable markers. So do not, you can't use you can't use permanent markers for this. So if you have any alcohol markers or anything like that, those are permanent markers. They won't work for this. You want the cheapest markers you can get your hands on, or your kids' markers if they're home. Just borrow it for just a second when they're not looking. Because kids' markers work the best for this. You're just going to squish it around until we get a nice look. I don't like this spot right here in the middle, so I'm just going to do something about that. There we go. And then I'm going to take my envelope. Get the color on the back. Let's see, I want some over there. I want some here at the bottom. Over here. Right there. Okay, I think that that looks good. Now, we did it to make sure that we got some on the top there. I'm not going to worry about the sides here because I'm going to put some strips of... Now, I got some. I wasn't planning on it. Oh, maybe that soaked through from the other side, or I just got it there. I got some on my little cutout. And so since I got a little bit there, but there's none over here, I'm going to just go ahead and pick some up. I can just leave it shut and there. Just so that the whole thing has a little bit of color on it. Okay, so now that has to dry. I'll put just a little bit more color on here. We still have a lot of color on here. Okay, and now we're going to dye our lace. And I did put a lot of water on there for that because we want to soak the lace. We want to dye the lace all the way through. And I'm not going to really worry about the patterns because we're going to just kind of scrunch this all together. Okay, let's pick this up. And these are washable markers, so you don't really have to worry too much about getting it on your hands. It might stain a little bit, which I have so much stain on my hands I was staining my library ladder, which maybe by the time you see this video you'll have seen my new library wall, because I'm doing this video 3 weeks ahead. I'm trying to get as many of these done as I can because I have a feeling I'm going to be out of commission for a while, and so I want to try and make sure that I at least have some done up ahead of time. And I'll still just put them out once a week. So there we go. Doesn't that look pretty? So that's going to go on our page, but we're going to need to let that dry and let this dry a little bit. And then we're going to make a tag for here. We need to do that. What else do we need to do? We need to, I'll flip this over because that side needs to dry. Okay, we need a tag for in this pocket, and we need a tag for under the belly band. And I think that that will finish this up. So I am going to go ahead and find some things to put on the tags, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I am back, and our lace and our pocket are dry. So I am just going to cut that on one side. And we're just going to glue that on there. Actually, I think I like it right there better. Because that kind of gives me the 3 scallops and puts one right in the middle. And sometimes you have to remember to look at those things because it just makes a little bit of a difference. It's not that big of a deal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, on the spots of my lace where it's a little bit thicker, I'm going to just dab a little bit of glue because we're going to have a pocket with a tag. I want this glued down fairly well. Sometimes I like to leave it kind of loose so it's kind of just flowy. But in this case, we want it to be glued down a little bit better. And get it over here. So yes, I am going to, I'll be auctioning off this book when it's done. Well, I'll be starting, maybe I'll start the auction on this video. I'm not sure how many more videos we have to go. We still have a ways to go. But and the way the auction works is if you want to bid on it, the bidding starts at $35. The very first bid will, whoever would like to make the first bid would be $35. And then on each video, I will change the bid if someone bids on it so that you know what it is. And if you'd like to bid, my email address will be there. And you will just send me an email and tell me what your bid is. The bidding will end at 5 o'clock the day after the book is finished. And I'm going to put one straight across here now. And the high bidder will get it. And it ends at 5 o'clock. So whoever has the high bid at 5 o'clock, that is who wins it. 5 o'clock the day after this book is completed. Because it's very hard when you have, like, sometimes there are 2 people that are going back and forth. And so I just have to set a time, and that has to be the time. So if you get outbid right at the last second, I apologize, and maybe you can get the next one. And that's the way that the silent auction works, is you just make your bid, and whoever has the highest bid wins. That looks really pretty. Through the camera right here, it doesn't look as pretty as it does in person. Oh, I love that. That looks really pretty. Let me trim this off a little bit right here. Making sure that you don't cut your fold. There we go. Oh, and I forgot to show you, and this was something that I looked at before I started this, because I had this a little planned out before I started, was that you wind up getting the same effect on both sides of your pages. Now, if you don't want that there, you can cover this page with something. I did want that there because this page is going to be another hidden tuck or a hidden journaling spot in another one of the fold down envelopes. But I thought that would also give me a place to tuck something in here, and that would finish off that group of pages. So I just wanted to show you how that winds up giving you 2 for 1. You'll just need pages that you think, and if you don't, if your colors aren't going to match, one side's kind of orange, one side's kind of blue, you can always dye one side orange and dye the other side blue. You don't have to dye both sides the same. So, and then for the tuck-in pocket, what I want to do is I want to wrap this shorthand on there. And so I am just going to use the tear ruler that we made way back at the beginning of the series and get myself an edge. There we go. And then I'm going to do this, well, we'll say I'll just do it about as wide as my ruler, because I'm going to put it on this window side and wrap it around to the back side of the I'm going to put it on this side here. I'm going to fold it in half. I don't like this is too far out here. So I'm just going to and whatever piece of paper you pull towards you is the piece of paper that does not have the white frillies. I don't know how to say that, but you'll notice when you rip a piece of paper, it has two looks. This look is got the thin part on the top, and on this one, you've got the edge of the paper on the top. That thin part is the white part, is what I call it, because if you rip colored paper with a white core, it's definitely white. But you know, you get the lighter color there. So the one that you pull towards you is the one that does not have that white look. And so I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on here like this. I'm going to fold it in half. And it's going to go right here. Just like that. And then it will also wind up being on the other side like this. And then it will give you a journaling spot right there. So there's one. We might as well just put that right on there. Or maybe I should do them all at the same time. So I've got the glue. If you lay your glue on its edge, when it's not super full, it won't overflow, but it will keep that glue close to the top. Makes it just a little easier and quicker for you. I want to go just above the window. Make sure that's tucked right into the fold. And there we go. I'll just cut that off. That was not straight. There we go. And now we'll do this side exactly the same way. So I'm going to just kind of line that up with the edge. This also works better if you hold your ruler on top of this thin plastic. It holds it down better. There we go. We're going to put this one over here. Just kind of lining this up with the lines on the shorthand. Fold it in half. Rip it off a little bit long so that I know I've got enough. Put this on here. So, yes, you'll be I'm going to be doing all of these videos as quickly as I can so that I can make sure that I get this series done, but I'll still just be putting them up once a week. So, because I may wind up having to have surgery on my shoulder. I don't know. And I think it's an option, but I'm not so sure that I'm going to be able to say no. So, because my shoulder's been bothering me for quite some time, I think I'm going to have to get it fixed. There we go. Doesn't that look cute? And this is going to tie it in with the page next to it that has the shorthand on it. All right, now we're going to do one for across the bottom. Excuse me. And I want it to go the same way. So, is it going to be wide enough? Yes. So this one we're going to rip a thin part like this. And then we want it about, oh well, let's do it the same as the others. We want it as wide as our ruler, or our tear ruler. There we go. And then I don't want these words on it, so those are going to get folded to the inside. Like that. And just put some glue on there. Now, I could rip a piece and put it across the top, just flat across the top, but I don't want to do that. I want the extra look. I like the way that this looks up here, so we're going to leave that just like that. And just trim this down a little bit. Remember when you're trimming on a fold not to cut the fold, or you'll have an open spot. Now sometimes when you're using tacky glue, things want to wrinkle a little bit. When you're all done with them, stick them in a heavy book and stick something on top of the book, and that will help them dry flatter. So now we have, for this page, we have this to go in here, and it just needs a tag in it. And then on the other side, we want to put a tag. So I went through, and I had saved all of these pieces. Remember I told you to save them? Because these could have been used on here like this. But I didn't want a straight edge. So these would have fit on here just perfectly because they're 1/2 inch wide. And our edge was 1/2 inch, and they would have fit on there perfectly. But I really wanted the shorthand to draw it to the page next to it. So, but that's why it's always good to keep your little scraps, keep them in a folder. And when you get to the point where you just have too many, then that's when you have to purge and get rid of some. So I was thinking about, you know, like maybe something that had a contrast to it. But I wasn't real happy with that. So I found this one, and this one I think will look nice on both sides. And I think I'm going to use the purple top to make for over here, and then the bottom to put over here. Now this was, you know, in our book, and in that book it had these little tiny cutouts on the corners. So you can kind of see where I didn't quite cut on the line there, but I had that little rounded cutout. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to just leave that there, but not yet. First thing I need to do is I need to cut this. So I need to, it's too wide to fit in our pocket. So I want it to be on this side. We're going to make it about that tall. So basically just fold it in half. And then we're going to cut it right there. And then this one has to be a little bit thinner because it won't fit in our pocket the way that it is. And I'm going to cut it with a knife and my ruler because I always have a really hard time with a pair of scissors cutting on a fold. So I'm going to push my ruler right up to that fold. Well, that didn't do very well. My knife was not super sharp, so now I'm going to have to try and cut it, straight. It just amazes me. I watch some people with their scissors just doop, 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 and they just make these straightest lines. Okay, so now I'm going to, let's see here, it's just a little tiny quarter circle. Just going to start right here. Just kind of round it like that. Now that looks kind of cute. And if you have a paper punch, you could do that with a paper punch. Just put your paper punch on there. Oops, we can't cut that side yet anyways. Okay, so I've got this side cut. Now this side, Oh, I'm going to draw a line. That's what I'm going to do. Draw a line that I can follow. So this is going to go in here. So I really just need to take off a little bit, not too much. That looks pretty straight. And then what I'll do when we're all done is I will glue this on a piece of white paper so that it has a journaling space on the back. But you don't really need to watch me do that part. And then I will definitely be sticking it under a book with something heavy on top and letting it sit to dry. Yeah, I think that those little nicked corners are really cute. So that's going to fit in there. Just like that. That's pretty. I think that's very pretty. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a little teeny tiny bit of glue right here on this edge. I don't want it to be too much because it will squish out into the center, and then I'm going to push this together and I'm going to push out on the glue. As I push it together, I'm coming out, because if you push it inwards, that glue is going to go this way. So I want any extra glue to come out, not squish in. So there we go. Now that will be squished down. So we're going to have that one in there. And then we've got this one left. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, that's going to look pretty. That's going to look pretty together. So I'm just going to straighten off this bottom where I made it all jagged. And this side is also not straight. And then we'll just nick the corners. And I'm just coming down about maybe 1/4 of an inch or something. You could make them bigger than that even, and you could draw them on there, like with something like just put a coin on there or something. But yeah, I like that little nicked edge on there. I think that looks cute. And then I could choose to, like with this one, put it on something like this, where you kind of see those nicked corners, and then just leave it just a little bit bigger and tear it. And I think I might do that, but possibly not on, I'll just do it on a piece of tea-dyed paper. I'll just tear a piece of tea-dyed paper and back it with that, so that we'll see the color, the tea-dye color on the front. Like that, but I want the edges ripped, and then on the back we'll have writing space. So that's what I'm going to put on the back of that, is the tea-dyed paper, and also I'll put tea-dyed paper on the back of this one, and then let them dry. And so for very messy here, but here is today's pocket. See, and where I got that glue, it's actually a little too tight. I'm going to try and move it over just a little bit. There we go. I think that will have done it. Yep. I don't know why it wants to stick there a little bit at the bottom. There we go. So there we go. We have this and this for this pocket. And then we're going to have this tag for over here with a little tea-dyed paper around the edges. And so that is what today's spread looks like. And it's almost getting time too to sew this thing together. And then we'll be putting our binding on. But I think that that looks really cute. I like it. So thank you very much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. And I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.